Officer Daniels believed he was untouchable. For years, he had bullied, harassed, and abused his authority, especially against black people. So when he spotted a black woman in court, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed her, shoved her, humiliated her, right in front of the judge, right in front of witnesses. He wanted to make sure she knew exactly who held the power. But then, she reached into her jacket and pulled out a badge. The courtroom fell silent. Daniels stumbled back, his face turning pale. Because this wasn't just any black woman. The truth set everyone in the courtroom free. A hushed wave of murmurs spread through the room as the judge prepared to give his final ruling. Officer Daniels stood there, smug as ever, his uniform crisp, his badge gleaming under the bright fluorescent lights. He had done this countless times, testifying against people he'd arrested, many of whom had the misfortune of being black in a city where officers like him thrived on unchecked power. Today was no different, or so he thought. At the back of the courtroom, the heavy doors swung open. A woman in a sleek black suit stepped inside, moving with quiet authority. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who demanded respect simply by being in the room. Taking a seat in the gallery, she fixed her sharp gaze on Daniels as he continued spewing his testimony. Daniels noticed her right away. His eyes flickered with annoyance, a smirk creeping onto his face. Another black woman, probably some defendant's relative, clinging to false hope. He scoffed and turned his focus back to the judge. Then she stood up. Daniels stiffened, his eyes narrowing. She wasn't just some courtroom observer. There was something about her, the way she held herself, that he didn't like. "Sit down, lady," he barked, stepping toward her. "This isn't your business." She met his glare, completely unfazed. "Excuse me?" Daniels scoffed. He loved these moments, making sure people like her knew their place. He stepped in closer, lowering his voice to a sneer. "You lost. This isn't the welfare office." The room went dead silent. The judge's gavel hovered midair, his face frozen in shock. A few people gasped audibly. But the woman didn't flinch. Her dark eyes stayed locked on Daniels, steady, unreadable. "Remove your hand," she said, her voice calm but laced with steel. Daniels tightened his grip on her arm. "Or what?" he spat, giving her a slight shove. A rush of power surged through him. He could already picture her flustered reaction, how she'd shrink back, intimidated like so many others had before. But she didn't. Instead, she reached into her jacket. Daniel's instincts kicked in. His muscles tensed. He'd seen this move before, someone reaching into a pocket, a sudden motion. He had drawn his gun for less. The entire courtroom held its breath. She pulled out a badge. The air turned to ice. Daniel's smirk vanished. His face drained of color, his fingers slipping from her arm as he staggered back a step. Under the harsh overhead lights, her badge gleamed. But not just any badge. She lifted her chin slightly, her voice unwavering. "Officer Daniels, I am Chief Renee Carter," she announced, her words slicing through the silence like a blade. "And as of this morning, I am your new boss." The courtroom erupted. Daniels stood frozen, his lips parting, but no words came out. The weight of everything, his actions, his arrogance, his unchecked power, came crashing down on him all at once. The judge's gavel finally came down, but its sound was drowned out by the whispers, the murmurs, the stunned realization that Daniel's world had just changed forever.